Hi everyone, so we've continued with our journey. Where we had stopped was a little ahead of Betal Ghat. So we've parked ourselves here because there's a magnificent view that I wanted to give you from here. Look at this, extremely beautiful. This is the Kosi River going towards Ramnagar, and this is from where it's coming from, the hills of Almora. Looks amazingly beautiful, but it really gets scary in the night when it gets dark. Place inhabited and frequently visited by the leopards and the tigers in these reaches. So this is the bridge from where we've now about to cross, and we are heading towards Talli Sethi and then towards the Sitabari and a final destination at Ramnagar. Yeah, so we were talking about the fact, that there is a lot of migration that's happening of the tigers to these regions, and this is because of the growing population. So they're moving towards the hills. There have been a lot of evidences. Now what's that doing is it's actually scaring away the leopard population, and the leopard population that used to dwell in this area is now moving up into the upper reaches where the tigers cannot actually go. And the fact is that these villages that you see here, we were talking to the villagers here, they say, before it gets dark, everyone's inside their homes, especially the children, because that's when these leopards, they actually come down and search for food. I really couldn't show you, but there was a stag that was calling right opposite us on that particular hill. So the villager was saying that he probably must have seen a leopard, and that's why it was, giving that stress call. So yeah, all in all, this is proving out to be a beautiful trip. So I've shown you a lot of times, that we are entering Jim Corbett, from the mainstream road that comes from Delhi. So now these hills that you actually see, so this area that you see is behind Jim Corbett if you enter Jim Corbett from Delhi. So we are actually entering Jim Corbett from the northern end, and stay tuned and enjoy the particular drive. Alright guys, so we are on our way to Sitabari. This is a beautiful road, a little risky at places because it's deteriorated a lot, and it hasn't been rebuilt. So there are areas where it's a little risky. So if you come here, make sure that you have a good vehicle. So right now we are driving on a good part of this road, passing through beautiful valleys and going through these beautiful villages. Now the tiger movement has actually started in areas like these, and after every few kilometers you would find a temple of every village, giving a very positive vibe. And from there on we'll drive all the way to Okhaldunga and then to Sitabari. I'm going to stop in Okhaldunga and probably try talking to people around there, because you must have seen in my shots, on January the 7th, a woman was killed by a tiger, partly eaten, and that happened in this vicinity, in this village, Okhaldunga. That's not really far from here. So these high reaches that you see, on the other side you have the Jim Corbett National Park. On our right we have the Kosi that's actually flowing right horizontal to the road on which we are flying. And this is the Kosi, where you must have seen a lot of wildlife. Oh my god. I think that guy was thinking that he was driving in the US. That's why he was driving on the right side of the road. Anyways. Yeah, so that's the Kosi, where you've seen a lot of tigers, in various shots and in various vlogs. So a very essential river for wildlife in the Jim Corbett National Park, along with the Ramganga, that's also considered to be the lifeline of the Corbett National Park. So there are patches where the road's bad. There were a few patches where it was even bad once you cross Kerala. So guys, we've reached Okhaldunga, and this is the tiger's territory. On January 7th, a woman was killed in the jungle somewhere here by the tiger. Just spoke to the villagers. They said that it had eaten an arm of that particular lady. Incident became it became really. I shouldn't say that it became famous, but it was out on the news on January 7th. So right at the tiger's territory, it's absolutely quiet. This is where we have parked ourselves. Wow. Let's try to talk to the locals about it. And that's the Kosi River that you see here. That's the Kosi River. So you can see it's a very hilly area, although this place is quite close to Ramnagar. If you look at that hill up, that's Sitabani, that's Amgadi. Behind that is the Sitabani Tiger Reserve. That's where you get the safari. And this river, it meanders down behind those hills. That's where you have Mohan and Sundarkhal in the Garjia temple. So it's pretty close, and that's where the tiger could have migrated, either by this river or it had come down that hill from Sitabani, and the tragic incident happened. So yeah, we are in the tiger country right now, not in the main land, Jim Corbett, but we are on the other side of the hill, behind that hill, or what you normally see when you come from Delhi or from the plains into Jim Corbett National Park. Alright guys, so we are moving from Okhaldunga. I've spoken to some of the locals who were very shy to come on camera. So yes, they said that on the 7th, a woman right up in the jungle that you see on the left side of the road was killed, mauled by the tiger who had eaten her arm. And then the forest department, and then the forest department had put up the traps, and it was able to capture a male tiger. But then after that they said, and probably it's a female, because that was the mating season. Till date, a tigress has been heard growling in this area. Alright, so the hilltop that you see right ahead of us, that's the Sitabani zone, and right behind it is the Sitabani Safari zone. So there's a probability that the tiger could have come down from there. This is the Okhaldunga village, and of course the tigress has been heard growling in this area. Probably it's looking for the tiger. So people here, they are combating this human-animal conflict. So the closer you get to Jim Corbett, because of the strict rules against deforestation and cutting of trees, this jungle is flourishing and flourishing well. Wow, this is beautiful. Amazing. I would love to cover this jungle during the night. So the next time I travel to Almora, we're going to take this road and we'll time our journey in such a way that we cross this entire area in the night. It's going to be really cool and adventurous. You've got to be a little careful though. But then, yes, and there's one more thing the villagers said on this side of this hill. Elephant movement is not much. So the elephants are restricted to the other side of this hill. Yeah, so that's one relief that the villagers here have, and that is to grow their crops without any fear of the elephant. Wow, a lot of causeways. Stay tuned. Look at that, guys. That's the peacock. Beautiful, beautiful. Wow. I hope you were able to see it. Looks so cool. Closer to Sitabani, and on the right side, if you see, that's the Jim Corbett National Park, where the hills end and the plain area starts, the Tarai area starts. Inching towards it. The road's a little bad. The last time we came here, it was slightly better, but I guess post the rain, it has worn out. So it's a little bumpy. You have to be a little careful because there are places where the roads actually worn down into the hill. So this particular road, I've often spoken to you in my vlogs at this particular spot where you see when we come from Delhi, we go on towards the left to the Three Brothers Resort in Bhalong and Sitabani. So this is where, if you come down from Almora, you'll be connected to Sitabani. Now this is the road that's heading towards Ramnagar. So right now you are in the core territory of the Jim Corbett National Park. So welcome to Jim Corbett National Park. Because now you're on a road that's used a lot by vehicles, locals as well as people who come here to visit as tourists, because there are a lot of resorts in this neck of the woods. So alas, we are in Jim Corbett. Now Ramnagar is approximately 22 kilometers and then Thela would be another 6 kilometers. So another 28 to go. This is Leti village. A very interesting tale of this Leti village. Few years ago, a man who had grown crops in order to protect it from the wild had fenced it with wires, and then he had actually connected it to his home electricity, and an elephant was grazing nearby, so the elephant came in connection with the home electricity that's around 220 volt and died. Because usually the electric fencing that people use is roughly 80 to 90 volts, but the one that was used here was approximately 220 volts. So the forest team came, they realized the fact, that it had been done illegally, and they arrested that person. So guys, it's 7 o'clock, close to 7, so the safari gate has been closed. This is the entry of the Sitabani safari zone. You can see it written right there, Sitabani Conservation Reserve. So we're gonna take a right and head towards Ramnagar. This guy's coming in a high beam. Okay, so if he doesn't lower his beam, I'm going to give him high beam as well. Right, because normally people who do not belong to this neck of the woods and drive in the plains, they lack the sense of driving on a low beam, especially when you have a vehicle coming from the other side. Because it's a little difficult then. It becomes a little difficult driving in the hills if you have a high beam from the other side. So guys, on the left, do you see those fallen branches of the Rohini tree? This has been done by the elephant. So right now you're in the core elephant zone. You can see some other twigs actually that have fallen. So guys, on the left, do you see those fallen branches of the Rohini tree? This has been done by the elephant. So right now you're in the core elephant zone. You can see some other twigs actually that have fallen. So that's the work of the elephant that exists here in the Sitabani zone. I'm sorry, I'm not driving slow. We're a bit late reaching the hotel, so just want to go there and relax. So just driving at a normal pace, a permissible pace, I'm sorry. Because you have to be a little careful about the pace at which you drive in these restricted forest areas where there's a tendency of animal crossing. Alright, we have some deer grazing here, some fawns right here. There you go. Go inside the jungle, man. You're gonna see a lot of deer. I mean, you must have seen in the other vlogs that 27,000 plus deers. Sorry, there are 27,000 plus deer in Jim Corbett. The samba, the cheetal, the swamp deer, the hog deer, the barking deer, the mountain goat. You've got everything here, and it's very good, in terms of the food chain theory for the tiger. Because if they become sparse, if they become less, then it's going to impact the food of the big cats, which would then start taking the route which they have already taken at various places of villages and other areas of habitation that can prove to be even worse. So presence of these deer is extremely important in this neck of the woods. Now you can see this road's really damp. Of course, can be because of the rain, but this road remains damp throughout the year. That is why this road is called the Thandi Sadak or the cold road, because it doesn't receive any sunlight. So usually when this part of the world gets really hot in the summers, if you drive through this road, you can see a sudden change in the temperature. Grazing peacefully. We let them graze. We'll move ahead. At least 5, lots of them. Yes, Panditji was able to trace them. The ones that are grazing here we go. So grassland is one area where you see a lot of deer around this time. Wow. Oh, look at them, they're crossing. That's the stag that crosses, the one with the horns. Look at them, guys, so many of them. There's so many of them right here. Here we go. That's the stag. Oh, wonderful horns this guy has here, antlers. You can see the eyes shining in the dark. So this is the joy of enjoying the grassland. So this is the joy of enjoying the grassland in Sitabani. Terrific. Our resort for today. I'm going to see you up there. Probably we'll hear some wildlife. So that's something that we'll show to you. We're almost there. Let us go freshen up a little bit, and then we'll see you at the beer table. Wow. The jackal. Wow, so you saw the deer. They just come to our resort right here, and once I focused the camera on them, they just ran away. The mother and the kid, and now it's the jackal that's crying on this corner. We heard the deer call right about here, so do stay tuned. Yes, of course we heard you. If you did like our vlog, do like, share and subscribe, and do hit the bell icon to be apprised of our next video that comes in. Wow. Really wanted to show its presence now. So signing off from Taylor at the Jim Corbett National Park.